First thing I want you all to think about is that Buddhism and mental health have pretty much merged together in many ways. The way they are doing things gives the Buddhist the advantage in contemporary society, or modern day society. Even though the relationship Christianity has with humanity is sacrosanct, they are challenging it, and they are doing things in a way that makes it hard for the Christian to survive. Granted, there are many Christians who believe in eating organic, and there are Christians who practice Christianity in one of its more pure forms, so they are able to turn to God with their anxieties and to face the troubles of life in a fair and balanced manner. But Christianity in its common form does not achieve that. And so this is what I am addressing in this video. Mental health, when you talk about Buddhism in its common form, keeps people calm, very collected, keeps people mindful. It stresses certain principles that are also found in Christianity, but explores them more in a way that is more applicable in your day-to-day life and more conducive to survival in the New World Order. And since they do not believe in God, they are going to use that to indoctrinate people into Buddhism using mental health, the media, and so on. And they will attempt to screen out the other philosophies. And Buddhism will lead to their enlightenment or Luciferian doctrine, which believes that you can make yourself God by reaching a sort of nirvana state or a state of enlightenment. Thank you.
I hear you.
Okay.
What do you think of the fact that women do not appreciate me? And I've been talking to you a little bit about this.
Well, I think, that just goes to show you how society's been taught that, you have to get with somebody who has monetary value. Because when you look at it, I have friends with many different backgrounds. Some rich, mostly poor. And 9 times out of 10, like, I have this one friend in particular, she's Thai, and she's always telling me, I don't know why you take guys, that don't have money or don't have things, and, you're just wasting your time. I just think that society's been conditioned, or has conditioned the women of today's age to just basically look at a man and base his worth off of what he has and doesn't have. And unfortunately, you know what I mean? For you, it just seems like you just don't have enough. And so that's why I think, it's bullshit. Because to me, there's much more to a man than just what he can offer monetarily. Sure, it's, fun. When you have cash, you could do a lot more things. But I think it's total bullshit. And how that's what society expects. And that's why girls, try, to be nice and talking to you, but give you the slip because they feel like, there's always going to be someone out there with more money or more monetary value. It's just complete bullshit. And I've dated on either side. I've dated guys who were poor and had nothing to offer. And then I dated guys who were rich and had plenty to offer, but there was a big difference in how I was treated in between the two. So I'm kind of neutral, and I think it's totally unfounded because you should base the relationships that you try to make off of how someone treats you, and then you can, build together if that's the case. But again, society, kind of perpetuated that, we need to have these things in order to be happy. When, you're just glossing over the fact that someone's personality could also be worthwhile and, a little more fulfilling. That's worth. So,
Alright, so...
Bullshit. Bullshit. Sorry. So, go ahead.
So, how long would you say you've been talking to me?
Let's see. Hold on, I can tell you about how long. For a while, actually, a few months. Hold on, I got... We have been talking for since February, actually.
Alright, and in that time period, you've actually...
Almost a year.
Okay, and in that time period, you've actually talked to me more than my parents have. And, you know, my parents just say, you know, have you taken your medicine, and, you know, dinner's ready, and I don't even eat dinner with them. I just go down, grab dinner, and bring it back to my room. So you would actually know better than they do about my mental state. Does that make sense?
Yes, of course. I mean, they are your parents, but I mean, you still are your own person, so it's up to you who you make friends with. And then, of course, you know, I feel like I can trust you. That's why I talk to you and tell you some things about myself. You know, oh, damn it. She's gonna have to wait. Anyway, sorry, someone called me on the phone. But,
Do you think there's anything wrong with me?
no, I don't think there's anything wrong with you. I mean, like, I like the fact that you're open with me and that I can feel like I can trust you to tell you just about anything about my life. I think that's what's most interesting, because I feel actually closer to you than I do people who are in my daily life, because there's a lot of things that I express to you that I don't feel too comfortable telling them, because I feel like they judge me. And so I feel like everybody wins in this friendship, because, you know, you allowed me to do that with you. So in turn, I feel like you should be able to trust me to tell me anything, you know, that may be going on. And I feel very fortunate to have had, you know, this type of friendship with someone where, you know, it's not always about sex, but it's more of like a meeting of the minds, you know? Sexual kind of stuff where we actually get to sit and talk about our feelings, about, you know, the world and stuff like that.
Alright, so... go ahead.
I feel like you're a healthy person. I don't know too much about you other than what you've already told me, and I feel comfortable with it. You know?
Alright, so it would be correct to say that you think that I'm qualified to make my own determinations about whether I need psych meds, for instance?
Right. I feel like, you know, you've got enough on the ball to know when you need to take them versus when you don't need to take them.
Alright, the last question, so Buddhism and psychology are connected in many ways. Psychologists many times teach about mindfulness, which is a Buddhist principle, and there are feminist perspectives of psychology. So I was wondering, what are your thoughts on the fact that Buddhism has highly influenced mental health, and there's a feminist perspective of psychology, but there is no Christian perspective?
Psychology. Here's the thing on that. I had, you know, growing up, I had some issues, and I went to go see, you know, a psychiatrist, and I actually didn't feel like they were helping me do anything. I was kind of scared to talk to them, to actually tell them, you know, what was really going on and how I was feeling, and the fact that there is a feminine overtone, I think, is not really fair, because, you know, everybody needs some help at some point. Everybody needs somebody to talk to. Everybody needs, you know, that kind of filter to be able to feel comfortable. So I think it's total bullshit. And the fact that, you know, there's Buddhist overtones versus that just goes to show you not everyone's right. Everyone has a different perspective, unfortunately, and not everybody can see the usefulness and what it's like to be open, honest, and kind to somebody who is in need of that platform, to be able to be open and actually talk like real, true stuff with somebody who is not going to judge them. And I think they perpetuate the Buddhist ideals more so with psychology because they're trying to make you feel like there's an easiness. But there's really no one way of being right versus wrong, I think. It's all up into how you personally feel, how you personally view, that sort of thing.
Did you know that psychologists are some of the people who come up with what is socially normative? They're some of the social planners.
Right.
So when they start taking they start taking sides in politics, they are in a way attacking the opposition view, using mental health and trying to play them out as crazy. And there's already been outspoken atheistic feminists who have said that in the future they intend to drug fundamentalism or fundamental Christians and treat them, fundamentalist Christians, and treat it as if it's a mental disorder.
Well, of course, they want to play God, but you can't do that. And that's the problem with the world, you know what I mean? They want to be in control of everything. So any way they can, they're going to, tell this person, oh, well, since you don't fit the quote-unquote norm, then, you've obviously got some issues. And I think it's total bullshit because everyone's different. Everybody learns at a different pace. Everybody learns differently. So how is it right to, stick everybody in one box and say, okay, if you don't believe this way, then something must be wrong with you.
All right, I'm going to end the interview there because I'm trying to keep it, it's around 10 minutes right now. I'm trying to keep it kind of short. So.
Okay, that's fine.
So, what do you think about the fact that it's come out on mainstream news that our water supplies in almost every city are polluted with these psych meds that the water companies are unable to bleach out or erase from our water? So therefore, even the people who don't take psych meds, are put in a position where it behooves them to address this problem of an over-aggressive marketing plan with psychiatric medications that don't work anyway, since they are poisoning our water.
I think it's bullshit. I'm pretty upset about it because, not everybody is as crazy as it seems. And who are they to say over, somebody else's sanity or not?
Yep. And so all those people that think it's okay to turn a blind eye, and they're making their coffee in the morning or they're cooking some eggs or something using the tap water, it's stabbing them in the, it's hitting them in the butt, stinging them in the butt. All right, so, what do you think about the bigger picture of this? Psychiatry gives a lot of people work: lab technicians, ambulance drivers, psych ward staff, outpatient staff, therapists, psychologists. Mental health is a huge industry. The pharmaceutical company is the most profitable industry, and it touches on the military. There's military psychology, military psychiatry. So this becomes a matter of national security, since part of the security
Hold on. Sorry. Hold on. Shh. Quiet. Hello?
Yeah.
Hey. I'm at my house. Okay. I'll be right there. Hello?
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry. I'm sorry. We're going to have to, redo this.
All right.
But go ahead. I'll let you finish.
All right. So this all touches on the matter of national security because it's about tax money, it's about jobs, it's about the economy, It's about financial security, national financial security. You know, financial security on a national level. So therefore, it touches on national security. When you're attacking this, in a way, you're attacking the finances of the West, especially America.
It's a bunch of bullshit again. I call bullshit. Because anything they can have over your head, even if you are in a position of being in the military and being connected that way, you know, the government is still Big Brother. They still want to have you under the thumb and in control, you know? So, of course, they're going to try to tell you, okay, you're in the military, you've seen some fucked up shit, you know, here, take these meds. And then there you go. They got us hooked. Or they got them hooked. For those of the people that have chosen to serve in the military. You know? It's ridiculous.
Yeah,
on how society is ran, how this country is ran.
and they'll have people, you know, they pass psychological testing to get in the military, and then when they're there, sometimes they are required to take medication because of their psychological state, which shows you that their psychological screening exams either don't work, or their argument that the main component for mental illness is genetic instead of environmental holds no weight, because when their environment changed, so did their mental state.
Right.
All right.
That's why I'm glad I don't have any fucking sons out here fucking trying to, you know, do the right thing. You know, I have a couple brothers, couple cousins, you know, that have been in the military. And, you know, the couple stories that they did tell me, shit, I wouldn't want to be there.
All right, so the last question is about MK Ultra. Okay, the MK Ultra said, you know, one of the physicians involved in it said that it crossed their mind to put it in a water supply, put drugs in a water supply to target a population. And that reminds me of the whole pharmaceutical company's complicity. They knew beforehand that there was a chance the water supply was going to be poisoned. They knew during it being poisoned, and they know now that it's all over the news, and it's been all over the news for years and years. The news clip I saw was from 2008, I believe. So, you know, they're still pushing it in overactive, you know, over an aggressive marketing campaign, and which is continuing to poison the water, while the water companies can't do anything about it. You know, and so that's one thing of MK Ultra. Another, this guy named Mr. White, who wrote a letter. He was one of the main people in it. He wrote a letter to the main guy, I believe was a chemist, Sidney Gottlieb, and he said that MK Ultra was a success, even though several people committed suicide, some people had brain damage, many people's lives were ruined. He said he was happy it took place, and where else could a red-blooded American rape, pillage, and murder with the approval of the Most High? And that is me paraphrasing.
And that's how you know this world is fucking filled with evil people. For sure. I mean, you know, me as just someone who is living in this day and age, that right there scares me to my core. That somebody would even think that's just funny or cool or acceptable. You know?
And this is something that took place from 1955, I believe, all the way to the mid-70s. And it took place after the Nuremberg Code. The Nuremberg Code was after World War II, where they came up with a code that says no non-consensual experimentation because of the eugenics and, you know, experimentation on the Jews in the concentration camps. They came up with the Nuremberg Code, then they violated. So any idea people have in their head that magically this country would stop doing this because they've been busted for it, or there's agreements that they shouldn't do it, you know, holds no weight, because there was agreements before MK Ultra that they shouldn't do it, that they couldn't do it, an international agreement, and they still broke it.
It just makes me really sad and really angry that I could be living in such a world today where nobody else's opinion matters except for those higher ups in control. control, so to speak. It's like, they take on a spirit of evilness, which is kind of, I want to conquer the world, and take over. It really saddens me to see my people in such a state where now they're accepting this sort of thing like the norm.
And the social engineers push the despicable falsehood that they propound that we live in a free and open society, while the whole time we're being ruled by intelligence agencies, secret governments, and secret societies.
Yeah. The secret society bullshit. I really wish it would go away, but I'm going to tell you right now, unfortunately for us, it's not. So for those of us that decide that we don't want to be a part of it, of course we're going to consider the outcast black sheep. Oh, don't listen to them. They're acting crazy because they won't follow a certain way, certain quota, whatever you want to call it.
Also, in the same documentary where I got that, it was 1979 ABC documentary about MK Ultra. They said that the CIA on record was responsible for the acid and psychedelic movement in the 60s, I believe it was, with all those hippies and all those druggies, because a bunch of MK Ultra psychologists at college campuses had, leaked what was going on and shared a lot of LSD and stuff like this. So the CIA on record started the crack epidemic that was exposed by the San Jose Mercury News. They brought crack into the black communities or cocaine, and they made crack from it in California. And then on record, they're also responsible for the acid and psychedelic movements. These people started the drug movement, all the worst drug movements that we have. And I bet you they're responsible for the meth epidemic we are seeing these days.
Yeah, I wouldn't doubt it. All your life you're told that you don't fit in, and then you want to fit in so bad that you'll just try anything. And I've seen it. I've seen it. All kinds of different people from different walks of life. People that had shit, and then when they turn to the drugs, they lose it all. Everything. Because that one curiosity, and now you're part of the system's problem. But yet and still they provide you the drugs and the so-called medication.
Yeah.
Fix your issue.
And it's mind control. Psych meds are mind control. I'd go as far as to say the CIA are responsible for the prescription pill epidemic, the psych pill med epidemic we see. And do you know that 80% of people who are on heroin started with prescription opiate painkillers? It triggers the same part of the brain. So when you truly slice it, all these epidemics were pretty much caused by the CIA/mind control community, which got the idea from secret societies that have a history of experimenting with mind-altering substances as part of their cults and covert religions.
Yeah, and that's a really sad thing that there's a large number of the amount of people falling for all of this. Everything you just listed, everything you're speaking of. Too bad we can't have more deep thinkers like you and I to actually stand together and say, hey, this isn't right. But I feel like, the government has just turned it all around, and is placing the guilt on the people that they're doing this to. So, in turn, you have people, who once thought for themselves, but now fallen into this, what is the word I'm looking for? Now fallen into this mindset that, okay, well, everybody else is doing it, so I'm going to do it, sort of thing. And so we lose the free thinkers. So that's really sad, too, because, you want to have two sides to the story, okay? There's people that are going to join them
just interject. I believe it's in China right now. Everyone has a credit score, and part of what it's based on is whether you have unsanctioned political speech on social media. If you put unsanctioned political speech on social media, they know that the system is therefore going to give you a hard time and make it harder for you to get a job, and you're more likely to be fired, so your credit score drops.
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
That's kind of what you're talking about, you know, being a free thinker and being openly expressing free thought is punishable financially, socially, politically. It's only a matter of time before this country sees it the same way, because even when I went to University of Phoenix, we were told that it's not a good idea to make videos where you express, you know, you display exuberant behavior, you know, say I get on, you know, my videos, I get all angry and I start yelling, you know, in some of my videos for a good reason. You know, that's exuberant behavior, and employers will look into that and make it harder for you to get a job. So even here, it will affect your credit score in America. It's just they don't have it down to that science yet. They don't do it like that. But because it will affect your job, and which will affect your income, it will have some sort of an effect on your credit score and your eligibility to get loans from the bank and so on and so forth. And I'm sure the banks already consider, is this guy a political activist? I'm sure off the record, the banks consider that when they look at some of the more substantial loans that they're considering.
Yeah, it's awesome stuff. It's going to continue to be that way because I feel like there's not enough resistance to what they consider to be their normal, unfortunately. So people like you and like me are going to always be bullied because we think differently and we feel differently about what's happening now in these days and times. Unfortunately for us.
Yeah, well, you know, I think you're one of my better, you know, interviewees or whatever it's called. I'm gonna have you back on my, you know, videos maybe later on in this series to explore some more thoughts, but we should leave it there for now. But thank you for the interview.
Oh, no problem. I hope it helps. I'm sorry again for the interruptions, and if you know, are listening back and you need to redo it because we were interrupted, just let me know, and then we'll figure out a time.
I'm just going to leave it as is because it shows that this is authentic and that, you know, it's not planned, it's not scripted. You know, people need that impromptu interview, that they need the authenticity.
Okay, that's fine. Well, I'm always down to help out. I'm hoping that was enough. So whenever, you know, just hit me up on Facebook and let me know.
All right.
All right. They feel like, you know, there's always going to be someone out there with more money or more monetary value. It's just complete bullshit. And I've dated on either side. I've dated guys who were poor and had nothing to offer. And then I've dated guys who were rich and had plenty to offer. But there was a big difference in how I was treated in between the two. So I'm kind of neutral, and I think it's totally unfounded because you should base the relationships that you try to make off of how someone treats you, and then you can, you know, build together if that's the case. But again, society, you know, kind of perpetuated that, you know.
The first thing I want you all to think about is that Buddhism and mental health have pretty much merged together in many ways. The way they are doing things gives the Buddhist the advantage in contemporary society, or modern day society. Even though the relationship Christianity has with humanity is sacrosanct, they are challenging it, and they are doing things in a way that makes it hard for the Christian to survive. Granted, there are many Christians who believe in eating organic, And there are Christians who practice Christianity in one of its more pure forms, so they are able to turn to God with their anxieties and to face the troubles of life in a fair and balanced manner. But Christianity in its common form is that you can make yourself God by reaching a sort of nirvana state or a state of enlightenment. Thank you.
I hear you.
Okay.
What do you think of the fact that women do not appreciate me? And I've been talking to you a little bit about this.
Well, I think, that just goes to show you how society's been taught that, oh, you have to get with somebody who has monetary value. Because when you look at it, I have friends with many different backgrounds. Some rich, mostly poor. And 9 times out of 10, like, I have this one friend in particular, she's Thai, and she's always telling me, oh, I don't know why you pick guys, that don't have money or don't have things, and, you're just wasting your time. I just think that society's been conditioned, or has conditioned the women of today's age to just basically look at a man and base his worth off of what he has and doesn't have. And unfortunately, you know what I mean? For you, it just seems like you just don't have enough. And so that's why I think, it's bullshit. Because to me, there's much more to a man than just what he can offer monetarily. Sure, it's, fun. When you have cash, you could do a lot more things. But I think it's total bullshit. And how that's what society expects. And that's why girls, try, to be nice and talking to you, but give you the slip because
Form does not achieve that. And so this is what I am addressing in this video. Mental health, when you talk about Buddhism in its common form, keeps people calm, very collected, keeps people mindful. It stresses certain principles that are also found in Christianity, but explores them more in a way that is more applicable in your day-to-day life and more conducive to survival in the New World Order. And since they do not believe in God, they are going to use that to indoctrinate people into Buddhism using mental health, the media, and so on. And they will attempt to screen out the other philosophies. And Buddhism will lead to their enlightenment or Luciferian doctrine, which believes